Hey guys, real quick, I wanted to mention that for those of you who have signed up for the Patreon community and for the free January month of coaching calls, I really want to encourage you to watch the video that is on the Patreon page. Your thoughts determine your destiny. It's 6 minutes long and it gives you a really brief intro, but a good intro to how mindset work, the process that mindset work goes through. And it might help you when you come for the coaching call on Tuesday. And while we're mentioning that, just another invitation to those of you who are thinking about it. There's a link available on the Patreon community and also on the podcast page for the Grateful Blessed Mess podcast to sign up for the month of January to 4 free coaching calls where we're going to do mindset work on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And moving on from January, it'll be just $10 a month to subscribe to the community for something similar, and then access to webinars and workshops that have been recorded. So I hope to see you all there. God bless.
Hey guys, my name is Nora Franche, and welcome to the podcast Grateful Blessed Mess, daily reflections for those in the 12 steps. I am a fellow 12-stepper and certified mindset coach, and I am here to introduce you to the value of mindset coaching in your 12-step journey. So if you feel like you are stuck in the steps, if you're slipping and sliding with your abstinence, mindset coaching may help you as it did me, and you can find me at catholicmindsetcoaching.com. These episodes are meant to invite you in to consider the truths of 12-step wisdom and to join in the very real struggle of living them in action. I hope that it feels almost like a mini meeting, and I invite you to contribute your own share on the Grateful Blessedness Facebook group to keep the discussion going. My comments are based on my own experience, so feel free to take what you like and leave the rest. But my hope is to encourage you on your own daily 12-step journey. As they say, you cannot stay clean on yesterday's shower. So without further ado, let's begin.
Hey guys, I just want to say thank you to all of you who've been listening for so long, who've been listening in a committed way. It means so much. It's fulfilling in and of itself. Just know there's people out there who this could be speaking to and helping in some way. So thank you for that. And please feel free to share it. So we are reading today from OA's Voices of Recovery, page 334. The reading for November 29th, which, curiously enough, is about love. And November 29th is the date of my wedding anniversary. So here you go. Immature love tries to possess and control. That is from the Brown book, Overeaters Anonymous, 2nd edition, page 245. And the reading follows. How many times have I become a controlling person? My life revolved around demanding that everyone do things my way and become obsessed with the right way. Then, when that didn't work, I would become so submissive that others could easily victimize me. I was led into many intolerable events just to please someone else. This program of recovery helps me to discover myself. As I have learned my own real needs, I have been able to enter into true, sharing relationships. By developing a mature love with my higher power and becoming a friend to myself, I can distinguish between the boundaries of my will and God's will. Now, choices are more blended into the question of how important is it to my recovery. The action of the program principles keeps me focused on what is vital for each moment. It's funny, I was kind of thinking today from something else I was listening to, how God's pursuit of us, this lifelong pursuit, is a love story. And I I got that from my sister, who was reflecting on her own experience. But it struck me how true that is. And it also made me think about our more maybe call it literal love stories, where it's with another human being who we can see, and how when we get to know each other, like that dating process is an opportunity to allow the other person to know us, to share who we are with another person, right? But the problem with those of us who are in an addiction or are codependent in some way, that's our relationships, are our substance of choice, whatever it is that chances are we don't know ourselves very well. And so it makes it really hard to have healthy romantic relationships, because we're constantly trying to discover who we are based on the interests or pursuit of another person. And it's kind of backward. And it doesn't work very well, because inadvertently it's not even manipulative. We're so unconscious to it. And we end up showing someone a version of ourselves that we think we like, or we think they like, but it's not actually us. And eventually down the road, with a friendship or with a romantic relationship, all of a sudden we start to bump into walls, or things start to not click, or we get fatigued from being something that we're not, and met with the frustration of, but I don't know what I am. Like, I know I am frustrated by this thing because it's not actually like the best fit. Maybe this other person's interests aren't exactly my own interests, and I'm fatiguing from the interest I've taken in them, but I don't know where else to go. I don't know if you guys can relate to that. Personally, that has been my experience in many different relationships, of just not knowing who I am. And I may have mentioned this before, but I was taking a personality test, and I found that I was having difficulty answering the questions because I wasn't sure how I would respond. And so I I couldn't even get an accurate feedback from this computerized self-assessment, because I was so ungrounded in who I was, because I had lived for so long based on what I thought I was supposed to be. And I think that just started, I think a lot of us compliant children who don't like to rock the boat, who just want to please mom and dad, and want everyone to be happy. Those harmony people, those phlegmatic people, those people pleaser people who just can't help it. And parents like compliant children because they cause less grief in the house. They're easier on the outside. And so there seems to be less work to do. But what can happen, not what always happens, but in my particular experience, what can happen is that what hatches from that environment is someone who never wrestled with themselves, who never got to know what I like, what I don't like, never even learned the skill of thinking deeply. And you may wonder why. I'm glad you're bearing your soul, Nora, but why are you bringing all this up? And I'm bringing it all up because that is what mindset work finally allowed me to start to do. It started honestly in the 12 steps. And it's funny because that was the first real, other than gymnastics as a kid, which I loved, it was really the only genuine, real interest and a pursuit that I had that was my own that I would sacrifice other things to be able to do and go to meetings and tell people I couldn't hang out because I had to do this thing. It was the first thing for me that really became my own. And it felt amazing. As someone who was the compliant, whatever you like, I like kind of a thing, it rocked my world in the best way to have something that I fell in love with, that I found on my own, that was mine. And it opened the doors to me really starting to do the work, to have experiences that allowed me to start to understand and know me, which sounds, well, it can sound silly to someone who doesn't have that trouble. But again, like I've said before, I don't think that kind of person is listening to this podcast. And so, my dear friends, so that I stop going on and on, I just want to talk about mature love. And it says here that immature love tries to possess and control. And the reason for that is not typically, unless you're a psychopath, it is not typically, or it's not manipulative. It's a childish way of loving. It's arrested development. As children, we just love when things go our way. And real adult, mature, emotionally sober love, Christian love, is giving the other person their freedom. Is you staying within the bounds of your dignity and your own area of personal responsibility, in that how you behave matters, how you choose to think about someone matters, because you become whatever those thoughts and inclinations are that you allow into your heart. And also learning to allow someone else their freedom when it's easy, but also when it's hard. And I think this is an especially tough lesson for the codependents in the world, for us codependents in the world, whose emotional stability seems so dependent on how, a significant other person in our life shows up, or what state they're in. Maybe for some of you, it's your child. Maybe for some of you, it's a spouse or a friend or a parent. If you find that your emotional sense of peace and equilibrium and safety depends on the mood and the temperature of another person, that is a sign that you would benefit from this work. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a journey. It's a lifelong journey. And one that is helpful to have a guide and a friend. And I hope you find that one. With that, I pass. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you feel that mindset coaching could help you on your 12-step journey, please feel free to reach out and find me at catholicmindsetcoaching.com. This is not a replacement for 12-step work. This is something outside of the 12 steps. It is simply something that has a heart for the 12 steps and those who are in it. And so, welcome. If you are here, chances are you may also be a bit of a mess. And I hope that you can learn to find some gratitude in the blessings that have come from your messes.